Howdy, 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 my name is Inachi Sasuke, and welcome back to Let's Read SCP Foundation. In the last episode, we had a bit of a horror story that I probably didn't read very well, but it was 3 o'clock in the morning. But it was about the Pipe Nightmare. So in this episode, we're going to start with a sentient microorganism, and see if this episode starts as silly as the last one did. Keter! Okay, so that's not going to be, this is not going to be silly, because I'm pretty sure Keter class is one of those really, really deadly ones, but not universe-ending like the other ones. So, 16 is to remain within the confines of a 5x5x5 meter room at all times, maintained at a temperature not to exceed 0 degrees Celsius, which is freezing point. 16 itself is to remain in the petri dish in the containment cube at all times unless directed otherwise by level 4 or 05 personnel. Full documentation of experimentation with 16 must be submitted before and after samples and duplicates of 16 may be taken. Failure to follow these procedures will result in termination or reassignment as Class D personnel. Holy shit! They get reassigned to be class disposable if they fuck up? Damn! Only authorized personnel may be permitted to obtain samples of and experiment with 16 under BCL5 containment conditions. If an outbreak does occur, despite following the aforementioned procedures, directive-based personnel are to implement a Code Sigma lockdown and containment plan. Infected personnel are to be terminated on site by security forces wearing standard mission-oriented protective procedure, MOP, anti-biological and anti-chemical equipment. Should the infection not be contained after 48 hours, the on-site nuclear device is to be detonated. Remaining personnel are not to be evacuated under any circumstances. 16 has been shown to survive for up to 6 days, 6 hours, in blood and up to several minutes in air. High-intensity ultraviolet light and high concentrations of chlorine bleach have been demonstrated to be effective in sterilizing non-organic materials. Description: 16 is a blood-borne pathogen recovered from a mine worker in blank who injured himself while working in a deep coal seam. Said wound became contaminated with coal dust from the mine, possibly infecting the worker with dormant spores. Over the next several days, 16 proceeded to infect the remaining employees at the mining camp, as well as the CDC crisis team dispatched to deal with the epidemic. Foundation personnel then took over the investigation and terminated all affected personnel. Patient 0 was brought into captivity and the mine shaft was collapsed by an explosive device. 16 has an incubation period ranging from 24 hours to 2 years, depending on the presence and number of other human hosts in the area. First symptoms resemble the common cold and include itchy eyes, runny nose, coughing, and bodily aches. Phase 2 begins in 48 hours and consists of a controlled form of hemorrhage? Hemorrhage? I guess this will be just having a fever that causes a brain hemorrhage, as the organism causes a small amount of blood to become aspirated in the lungs, creating an aerosol effect. During Phase 3, the host crashes and bleeds out, bleeding profusely from every bodily orifice, including the nose, tear ducts, anus, skin spores, mouth, urethra, and in case of females, vagina. So does that mean it does not come out of the penis, or is that what the urethra? Okay, yeah. Anyway, blood pressure skyrockets during the final stage. Hosts have been observed projectile vomiting blood to distances over 5 meters. Should the host survive this near total exsanguination, the pathogen will become dormant once more, returning to incubation phase. What distinguishes 16 from other strains of hemorrhagic fever such as Ebola and Marburg is in its unusual response to high stress. Should the subject undergo a high-stress situation such as a life-threatening crisis, the organism will change its survival tactic from rapid reproduction to the rewriting of the host's DNA and simulation of rapid cell division. Major physiological changes occur within the first 24 hours, with complete bodily reconstruction occurring within 2 weeks' time. Most hosts do not survive the process due to the heavy demands made on the body. An interesting side effect of the transformation is an increased aggressive urge. It is believed that this may be an attempt to maximize the spread of the virus in a manner similar to rabies. On another note, subjects who undergo bodily transformation will no longer appear to exhibit 16's hemorrhagic properties. However, subjects infected by transformed hosts will still undergo the normal 16 infection processes. Addendum: Experiment log of 16's transformative properties. 16-1. D-class personnel infected by 16. Upon first showing symptoms, subjects' quarters were slowly flooded with water over a 24-hour period. 16 mutated in a teratomorphic state, transforming subjects' lungs into gills. Subject survived for 2 more weeks as 16 transformed its limbs into fins, caused its eyes to atrophy, and it enhanced its senses of hearing into a cetacean-type echolocation ability. Subject was terminated by draining all water from its quarters, causing it to asphyxiate. Body was subsequently cremated without autopsy. So let's go ahead and find out what terramorphic means. Yeah, this didn't answer that question at all. Terramorphic. Okay then. I guess it's something to do with the skin. Subject 16-2. D-class personnel infected with 16. Upon first showing symptoms, subject's quarters were slowly flooded with water over a 24-hour period. 16 mutated into a terramorphic state, causing subject to undergo rapid muscular growth and increased bone growth on knuckles. Subject then attempted to escape from confinement by punching through the reinforced steel door. Subject was not successful and died by drowning. Note, same situation, 2 different responses. Interesting. Doctor something. 16-3. D-class personnel infected. Subject was previously a chemical engineer who poisoned his wife upon discovering her adultery. Upon first showing symptoms, subject's quarters were slowly flooded with water over a 24-hour period. Mutated into a terramorphic state, causing subject to grow an unusual organ on his chest consisting of a chamber and 2 separate tubes. Organ continued to take in water and swell in size until Foundation personnel, realizing what 16 may be attempting, terminated the subject by gunshot. Organ was found to contain several gas sacs filled with acetylene gas and oxygen. Okay, let's find out what that is. I'm not a scientist, I don't know these things. Let's see. It is a hydrocarbon and the simplest alkyne. This colorless gas is widely useful as fuel and a chemical building block. It is unstable in its pure form and thus handled as a solution. So it sounds like it was trying to blow the guy up. D4, or 16-4. D-class personnel infected, told to concentrate on forming wings. No stress applied. Did not mutate into a terramorphic state. Subject died of exsanguination during phase 3. 16-5. Infected, told to concentrate on wings, placed in an acrylic box suspended 1,000 feet above a mine shaft. A timer was placed outside the box which subject told was indicated the time of release. 16 mutated into a terramorphic state, causing subject to grow a tentacle-like organ on his left wrist similar to a spider's spinnerets. Subject extended said organ through one of the box's air holes and extruded a strong silk-like substance, which it then used to secure the box to the cable. Subject was terminated when the countdown reached 0 and the bomb detonated. Okay, so they were trying to see if they could force it to mutate into the way they wanted, but instead of it growing wings, the D-class personnel grew spider web shooters. Okay, so shadow person. Keter. File footage of them. 17 is contained in an acrylic glass cage, 100 centimeters by 50 centimeters by 50 centimeters. I don't know what that is. Centrally suspended in a concrete room measuring 6 meters by 6 meters by 4 meters. I think 6 meters by 6 meters is, see, a meter is 3 feet-ish. 36 inches, so it's a little bit past a yard. Whatever, I don't know. Attached to the walls, ceiling, and floor of the room are high-intensity arc lamp spotlights pointed directly at the acrylic cage to ensure 17 is constantly exposed to light from every angle. Personnel assigned to the 17 control room are to monitor the functionality of the spotlights and the emergency generator system and call for maintenance immediately upon knowledge of a burnt-out lamp or issue with the generator. The only circumstance under which personnel are allowed entrance is to replace lamps. Personnel entering the room are required to wear the designated full-body reflective suits and must be cautioned not to step in front of functional spotlights. Description: 17 is a humanoid figure approximately 80 centimeters in height, anatomically similar to a small child but with no discernible identifying features. 17 seems composed of a shadowy smoke-like shroud. No attempt to find any object beneath the shroud has been successful, but the possibility has not been ruled out. 17's reaction to shadows cast upon it is immediate and swift. 17 leaps at the object cast in the shadow and completely encloses it in its shroud, whereupon it's returned to normal size, leaving no trace of the object behind. Additional notes: personnel with beta clearance or higher should also see document 17-1, which is not here. Interesting. 17's Next up is the Super Ball. I wonder if it sounds... okay. I was about to say I wonder if it's like a normal Super Ball, but apparently it is a normal Super Ball, but it's Euclid class. Alright then. 18 is to be contained in its specialty metal restraint inside of a 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter sealed box lined with heavy synthetic padding. The sealed box is then submerged in the center of the 10 by 10 by 10 polyethylene holding tank. If 18 is to break free from the holding box, the polyethylene-based tube will slow down kinetic activity enough for proper retrieval by containment personnel. Personnel entering 18's holding chamber are to wear specialized plating found inside 18's observation, and a breathing apparatus before being lowered into the polyethylene tank. If 18 is loose outside of the polyethylene tank, personnel are advised to secure themselves in a separate room and close doorways or hatches to isolate 18 until containment teams arrive. Description: 18 has the appearance of a Super Ball made by the Whammo Company in 1969. It is 6 centimeters in diameter and colored red. Found when the blank company was hired to clean out a warehouse that had Whammo merchandise in it. 18 was noted to be able to bounce with extreme height. At first thought to be a pleasant child's toy, 18 was able to bounce with over 200% efficiency. That is, if dropped 1 meter, it would bounce 2, then 4, then 8, then 16. The ball soon became a dangerous projectile, reaching speeds estimated at over 100 kilometers per hour and damaging property and injuring 5 in the city of blank. It came to rest after several days in a nearby lake of something, and was retrieved by SCP personnel. Due to the speed of the object and the total surprise by its victims, no cover-up story was required or initiated. Document 18-4, message to 05 somebody. Blank, I hope everything is well. The reason I write you is because I believe I have found a more effective method for retrieving new or escaped SCP objects. Yes, I realize we haven't had any progress in reverse engineering whatever allows this thing to defy the laws of thermodynamics, but we have come up with a very effective method for integrating one of these new SCP-A5 armor suits with this. Just hear me out. We implant it into the bottom of a boot, rig up a little bit of mechanical device, and ta-da! The suit is now capable of jumping well over a building. Also, if the wearer has their foot against something they want dead, well, let's just say it delivers a hell of a kick. All I need is permission to modify one of the pre-existing A5 suits, and you'll be able to actually capture blank, plus any other escaped SCP objects. Trust me, when have I let you down in the past, Dr. Blank? 16, letter to Dr. Blank. Dr. Blank. Upon assignment, Agent Blank was issued your modified A5 armor in retrieving SCP Blank, and the results are mixed. They were able to place the blank collar onto SCP Blank, chase it through the Amazon, and restrain it by dismemberment. However, due to a malfunction of your little mechanical device, he was launched almost a mile into the air and suffered 2 broken legs, several broken ribs, a missing arm, and a skull fracture upon hitting the water of Lake Blank on the way back down. You will fix that before I authorize your armor for common use. 1811, message to 05 Blank. Don't worry, it's fixed, but I have some more ideas. If I can be granted the use of some of water from SCP-06, SCP Blank, and possibly SCP Blank, I can deliver you a set of A5 armor and an agent that can capture any, if not all, rogue or uncontained SCPs. All I'm waiting for is your approval. Now let's get a reminder of what 6 was. The Fountain of Youth! I guess the purpose of that is, so that people survive the falling by what the Fountain of Youth does. Let's see what the Monster Pot is. It's Keter. 19 is to be placed on a wide grate in a 3 meters by 3 meters by 4 meters room made of reinforced concrete, installed with an incinerator. Room is to be kept at 0 degrees Celsius when the incinerator is not activated. An observation chamber separated by a plate glass window is to be used for constant observation of 19, and when specimens of 19-2 were observed, the incinerator is to be activated. In case of an outbreak of 19-2, ordinary firearms are successful in terminating individual specimens, although in the case of a swarm-level outbreak, flamethrowers may be more effective. 19 should be kept in a vertical position at all times. Description. Ew. 19 appears to be a very large ceramic vase. 1.8 meters in diameter at the mouth and 2.4 meters high. That's a very tall vase. Style and isn't that like 6 feet tall? Maybe 7? That is a very tall vase. Style and decoration indicate it was created in classical Greece, although conclusive dating is impossible, as the surface is entirely unbreakable by any known means. If a successful method is discovered, 19 is to be destroyed with prejudice. Periodically, entities emerge from 19. Collectively, they are known as 19-2. The entities vary in many aspects, but tend to be small, vaguely humanoid, though they may have animaloid features, and extremely hostile. They often choose to attack with teeth or claws. Although fairly delicate, also surprisingly flammable, they are reasonably strong and pose a considerable threat in large numbers. When kept at 0 degrees Celsius and totally at rest, entities will emerge from 19 at a rate of approximately 1 entity per hour. The following traits are known to affect 19-2's manifestation rate: movement of it, threat to it, extreme temperature in either direction, sudden shift in surrounding environment in general, introduction of objects or organisms to the inside of it, known to cause a flood reaction. Traits that may or may not influence 19-2's manifestation rate: presence of human life near 19, current weather patterns, specific individuals near 19. Some individuals seem to affect its emergent rate more drastically than others. In addition, tipping or tilting 19 will create a reaction as though it were previously filled with 19-2 specimens, although viewers looking into 19 from above will merely note a dark hole. Due to the production rates of 19-2 when the object is disturbed, measurement of the internal cavity is difficult, but is suspected to be inconsistent with outside measurements. Addendum 19-2A. 19-2 notes as maintained by Dr. Light and Dr. Vo. Date expunged. 19-2 specimen was removed from containment chamber and kept in a reinforced pen, provided with water and live chickens as food. Specimen made quiet, continuous, garbled vocalizations determined to be phonetically similar to ancient Hellenic languages. Although the reason for this is unknown, specimens are still thought to be no more intelligent than animals. The specimen only lived for under 48 hours, and a dissection revealed anatomy consistent on a cellular level with normal biology, but with an extremely unstable musculoskeletal structure. Other notable anomalies included an unstable respiratory system next to no digestive tract and virtually no other internal organs. All other captured specimens have followed similar patterns of behavior and demise. Note: it appears 19-2 specimens were not intended to live for meaningful amounts of time outside of 19. Dr. Bo. Another day passes. Containment unit was slightly damaged following prolonged exposure to 19-2 specimen, missed by the monitoring team because of partial transparency. This has not been noted in 19-2 before. Monitoring teams will continue to report further anomalies. Another date. Monitoring team reports some specimens of 19-2 now appear to be significantly more resistant to incineration than others. It is hypothesized that this is a defense mechanism on the part of 19. Another day. Most specimens of 19-2 are now all but entirely resistant to the effects of the incinerator. Replacement of incinerator with an acid bath is being considered. Evolution of 19-2 is being studied and may be evidence of sentience in SCP-19. Interesting. Next up, the unseen mold. That's Keter. I imagine an unseen mold would be dangerous. Samples of 20 are stored in a series of sealed cultivation chambers inside a sealed containment room at Biological Research Area 12, which is accessible only via airlock. Nutrients are administered via automated robotic systems, as this cultivation chamber must remain sealed at all times. Hermetically sealed video surveillance cameras are installed within the containment room and must be checked daily for integrity. Any personnel entering the containment room must wear biosafety level 5 equipment, including rebreathers, and undergo full antifungal disinfection upon exiting. Excuse me. Description: 20 is a fast-spreading fungal organism that is capable of affecting the senses and behavior of living creatures, including humans. Samples of 20s exhibit an unknown effect that renders them effectively invisible to direct observation, even under a microscope. 20 is only visible to humans when viewed through a photographic or video surveillance. Interesting. Once 20 forms a colony, usually within a human residence, it will produce spores that affect the behavior of humans around it. Affected subjects will increase the heat and humidity within their homes to create an environment more suitable to the growth of 20. Affected subjects will also become more sociable in many cases and often invite acquaintances to their homes to further spread the organism. As the spores and mold colonies are invisible to affected subjects, the mold may sometimes grow directly on living subjects. As the spores and colonies within a home approach critical concentration, the health of affected human subjects will rapidly deteriorate. I always add a little sound to that word, like, I don't know, resulting in death. Further spread of the mold may occur as the bodies of any deceased subjects are encountered by emergency responders and healthcare agents, as well as transportation of the bodies to the local morgues. 20 was first encountered in Redacted, where an undercover SCP agent noted dramatic personality changes in personnel working at the local hospital. Upon investigation by a containment team, it was discovered that almost blank civilians had been infected, as well as a majority of the town. The civilian population was terminated and the town incinerated under cover of a local flash forest fire. To date, over 12 outbreaks of 20 have been reported. Investigations are currently underway to determine the source of these outbreaks and prevent possible preventive measures. Addendum 2001. Excerpts from the audio-video recorder, mission recorders of Mobile Task Force ETA-10 see no evil during the initial containment of 20 on Redacted. T2 Team. T2 Team 2 moving to the Red House. Copy, UAV-1 is picking up one heat signature. Team 2 Blitz ready to... Shit! Door opening! At this point, a civilian woman appeared in the doorway holding a kitchen knife. Video surveillance showed that nearly 2/3 of her face was covered by mold growths. Why, hello there, gentlemen. Care to take a breather inside? Hold the ground! Drop the weapon! Don't be silly. Come on in and stay a while. Stop where you are! Drop the weapon! We just want to have some guests. Please come in. Drop the fucking weapon! It is assumed that at this point, the infected civilian noticed T2-4 carrying a primed incendiary weapon and lunged forward at the team members with the knife. Civilian woman data expunge. T2 lead. Open fire! Open fire! Gunfire. Screaming. Alright then. So, I think I'm going to stop this episode here. In the next episode, we'll do the skin worm, the morgue, Black Shuck, possibly the game show of death, and if we're going good on time, probably also a well-worn wardrobe. So, this has been Anachi Sasuke. This was episode... What episode is this? 10 of Let's Read SCP Foundation, and I will see y'all next time. Later.